top of his game. 4 wins in a row for Michael Schumacher. Hang on, this is Michael Schumacher. We're not even racing. Absolutely no doubt who top dog was here this afternoon. It was Michael Schumacher. What a tremendous victory for Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher gets his 7th Formula One World Championship.
Hello there, good afternoon from Silverstone. A very happy new year to you all. We've come to British Racing headquarters to enjoy the twists and turns of F1 2004, a year which ended with a massive slice of Christmas cheer. The news that this historic circuit will stage the British Grand Prix for the next 5 years and hopefully many more after that. Now tomorrow, January the 3rd, is Michael Schumacher's 36th birthday. He's the oldest man on the grid, but shows absolutely no signs of slowing down. Herr Schumacher won a record 13 races, including the British Grand Prix here. That's 72%, 7 in a row mid-season, 15 podiums in 18 starts, 8 poles, 10 fastest laps. The 7 times world champion has rewritten the record books in 13 years in F1, 83 wins, 1,186 points. He's closing in on Senna's record 65 poles. So, how does Schumacher himself remember 2004?
Very mixed. Beginning of the season, a lot of fear, because we thought it's going to be a very tough season. Last test before we actually went to Australia, suddenly we felt very comfortable and competitive, and then we had done the first races extremely well, races where we thought we would look on the edge. We were able to win. And then it was a sort of clear way through from there on.
And then was it just a matter with the string of wins throughout the summer of getting the 10 points together and really building that foundation for the championship?
It certainly was, because with the point system we have, I mean, it's very easy to lose the advantage not finishing 1 or 2 races, and I wasn't that clear ahead in terms of points. As the season then went along, things became obviously more clear, and it was just a matter of when it was going to happen.
The success was so big domination from Michael, from Rubens, on all the other competitors, and it was a fantastic tribute to the team.
There's so much harmony inside that's what is good. I think if there is a problem, it is a problem with everyone. It's not that we have to blame each other. That's what is good.
Michael still continues to pleasantly surprise us, and his determination this year is extraordinary. He had a little bad run towards the end of the year, and you saw what happened in Japan. I mean, he's had another fantastic season to add to the story of Michael Schumacher.
And the Drivers' Championship underlines that. Michael Schumacher and Ferrari are class apart, finishing 34 points ahead of teammate Barrichello. Jenson Button third for BAR, best of the rest. Some achievement that. Then Alonso just above Montoya, Monaco winner Trulli, Raikkonen top man at Spa, Sato, Mr. Excitement, and Ralf Schumacher pushing David Coulthard down to 10th. So the Scot losing his status as the top British driver. Our new #1, though, was in the middle of a political tug-of-war.
The story of the season surrounded Jenson Button and his BAR team. Second only to champions Ferrari, BAR made massive improvements, but the man at the heart of the team had his eye on a move to Williams.
We've had some very good races, the results have been very good and we've all been very professional. It's not that I didn't want to drive here, it's just that I wanted to be somewhere else.
Button's decision stunned Formula One. BAR tried to block the move by taking the case to F1's contract recognition board. They won. Williams will have to wait. But nobody came out of the episode unscathed, and within the team, bridges needed rebuilding.
I think it's actually probably going to improve our relationship. Jenson's a highly competitive driver. I'm highly competitive in my environment. But I think together, when we can combine our talents, I think we'll be formidable.
We won't find out. David Richards is now out of the BAR top job after Honda increased their stake in the team. It's understood Honda wanted a boss without other motorsport business distractions. On track, though, the car was consistently fast. Pole position at Imola followed 3 podiums in the first 4 races, all thanks to a revitalised technical department led by designer Jeffrey Willis. At Monaco, though, they missed their first win by less than half a second.
It's all about racecraft now. It's all about pressure. It's all about psychology. It's all about keeping a cool head. The hard charger, Jenson Button. The final part of the swimming pool. Button's throwing everything. Caution to the wind now. There is the checkered flag. And in the end, Button was just 4/10 of a second behind him.
Jenson's teammate Takuma Sato also stepped up his performances. An aggressive, feisty racer, he brought thrills and spills in equal measure.
Well, he's going for it now. Side by side they touch. Part of one of the 2 cars has been knocked off.
That was reckless.
BAR could have scored more points and podiums, but for poor reliability. 9 engine failures blunted their championship challenge. But they still finished runners-up and now have to beat new pit lane neighbours Ferrari. Next season will be BAR's real test. They need to have good reliability and solid leadership to win races consistently. With that and Button on board, anything is possible.
McLaren struggled to achieve a race win in 2004, let alone mount a championship challenge. Australia set the tone for the year. Kimi Raikkonen destroyed the first of many Mercedes engines, and Coulthard struggled in midfield for points positions. When he did finally achieve good grid slots, misfortune came his way more often than not.
Oh, we've got a crash.
Oh, there he goes, right over the back of a McLaren of Coulthard. Coulthard with no rear wing then. Fisichella just didn't slow down.
Go! Cracking start by Jenson Button. 3 abreast into Tamburello. One of the McLarens has gone straight on. It must be David Coulthard.
Salvation would finally come from the long-awaited new car, the MP419B, in France. Coulthard qualified 3rd, and 2 races later in Germany scored his best finish of the year in 4th. His teammate was on his way to a great result until this happened.
Oh, massive rear wing failure for Kimi Raikkonen, and a huge off for the McLaren driver. That was very, very scary.
The new car was a marked improvement, pole and 2nd place in Britain, and then Kimi's best performance of the year at Spa. He outshone world champion Schumacher on the very day the German wrapped up the title. But a single win at McLaren was small consolation for a season's worth of effort. Kimi ended the year with 4 podium finishes to his credit, but there was little for David Coulthard to celebrate. After 9 years and 150 races, he left McLaren. 10th in the championship was Coulthard's worst ever finish to a season. But new hope looms for 2005. David's been handed a lifeline by Red Bull Racing.
And when you rejoin us, it'll be over to Martin Brundle in Monaco, chewing the fat with Messrs Button and Coulthard. We'll be right back.
Casino Square, Monte Carlo, surely the scene of one of the very best Grand Prix of 2004. As Jim told you, we've got hold of a couple of British boys who happen to live around here to see what they thought about the season past. Tell you what, they don't have much respect for their elders. You wait and see. Right, you two, there's so much I want to talk to you about regarding the 2004 season. Starting with you, Jenson. Great year for you, your first pole position. You waited all that time for a podium, then suddenly 10 turn up. How do you look back at the year? What do you think about it?
fantastic. It really was. You know, it's my 5th year in Formula 1, and the first 4 years were good, but to not get on the podium, for me, was pretty demoralising. But to get on the podium this year 10 times is fantastic, and I think it shows how much the team and myself have come on over the last year.
Let's get this out of the way then, early. Buttongate, contract recognition board. You two were together on a boat, I think, floating around the Mediterranean somewhere. What was that all about?
Well, we were just on holiday in Sardinia, really.
No, not that. Buttongate.
Very good. I think from my point of view, having been behind the scenes a little bit with being on holiday together when it all broke out, I was particularly impressed with how you handled it off track.
Thank you, darling.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. Because it's very easy, I think, and it's probably, you know, we tend to forget Jensen's only 24, and I think it's the benefit you have from youth that you know, there's a lot of things you don't know yet, and what you don't know can't bother you. So I think there's an element of that probably come into the way you handled it. But you know, you had some great results then towards the end of the year, and you've also got yourself a situation to build on for next season.
On the legal side, I didn't completely understand what I should be saying and what I should be doing. It was a very difficult situation. So it's great to get it all behind us now. I thought my decision and my reasons for wanting to go to Williams were correct. But it's just, I think I was misguided in the way of doing it. You know, not talking to DR beforehand. Obviously, we were on holiday, and that was very important. But you know, not talking to him and explaining myself. But you know, it's you learn from your mistakes, and it's something I didn't know before. You know, I didn't have any experience in that area.
Nonetheless, a brilliant year for you. What are the highlights? What do you think back? Your best moments, the biggest thrill behind the wheel, inside the crash helmet that you were hanging on to at Hockenheim as you were going down the straights, was probably your best race of the year.
Yeah, Hockenheim was a great race, and as drivers, you know, we love racing. You know, overtaking and fighting for position. It's awesome. So Hockenheim was probably my favourite race, coming from 13th to 2nd. Also Monza, in the damp conditions where it was a little bit tricky. There's been so many great races this year. There really has.
Take us through that epic overtaking manoeuvre with Alonso in Hockenheim.
Well, it took a while, didn't it?
Yeah.
But he's actually a really tough guy to get past, which is good. You know, it makes racing really exciting, and I think we both enjoyed fighting with each other. But I knew that if I went down the outside of him into the hairpin, I wouldn't be able to get him on the exit, because the torque of the engine is very good, the Renault. So I had to dive down the inside, but he was blocking. So I had to hang back a bit and then dive down the inside really late. Lost a bit of time on the exit. And then we were side by side going through that flat out right hand kick, which was pretty awesome. And then I got him on the brakes into the next left. So it was a lot of fun, and you know, it's great racing like that. You know, it would be much better if it was for the lead, but it was a lot of fun.
Standing on the podium for the first time, was it a relief? Was it a thrill? What was going through your mind?
Bit of everything, really. Yeah, you know, it was not easy. It might have looked it, but we had a lot of problems with the car and with the engine towards the end of the race. And Rubens was catching me about a second a lap because we had these problems. So all the way until the flag, I was worried that I was going to lose it again. But to get on the podium was an amazing feeling, and you know, it was good to get up there. But now getting on the podium is nice. But you want that #1 spot.
DC, you've been on the podium 60 times, and I've 13 of them for victories, but I've seen you standing up there with a face like a wet Monday morning. You're up on the podium in somewhere like Monaco, and you're really unhappy.
I remember very, very well back in '95 when I was on the podium being sort of criticised for not looking that happy. But you know, we're not actors. You know, I guess we are living out a lot of people's dreams. But the reality is, we have a professional job to do, and if you don't achieve your goal, then how can you be, you know, very happy about that?
2004 for you then, DC. Not your best year ever. Some highs, some lows. Take us through those.
Yeah, no podiums, which is obviously disappointing. You know, I think that I was able to improve on the difficulties I had in qualifying through 2003. Obviously, this one-lap qualifying really started to catch me out. And it's like any of these things, you know, the more you try not to think about a particular issue, the sort of bigger it becomes in some respects. But I think I was able to improve on 2003, but still not good enough. So clearly that's an area that needs to be worked on.
Well, let's get on to qualifying 2 gate then for you. You were quick in qualifying 1. You've been on pole a number of times. Where did it go wrong in quali 2?
Well, I think that obviously all the sessions are analysed, and you know, we can see very clearly that the pace is there. So I haven't lost an inherent pace to drive a racing car quickly. But when it comes down to that one lap where you have to absolutely perform, you know, if you come a little bit mechanical, then if you don't flow, if you're not absolutely in that relaxed zone, then as a driver you can very easily lose half a tenth at every corner, and that's where it slips away.
The fact is you out-qualified Kimi 6 times. You did have a good grid slot in Manicourt and Spa. Take us through Spa. You did something in Spa that I think most drivers would challenge themselves. Would I do that? Could I do that?
Well, the incident with Klein was an unusual one, because he'd actually lost his left-hand side mirror, and obviously I didn't know that at the time, but when I went to see him after the race I could quite clearly see it fallen off the car. And as Jensen knows, when you're making an overtaking manoeuvre at high speed, slipstreaming someone, you're travelling at whatever, 300 kilometres an hour at that point, you rely on the other driver maintaining a position, because you literally pass within inches of the rear of his car. Unfortunately, at the moment that I committed to go to the left, he's no mirror, so he's committed to going over to the left, which is a natural racing line. And at that moment, I caught the front of my wing, and I went off the circuit, rattled along the barrier, and then obviously had to come back to the pits to effect some repairs.
But by now you're wearing your front wing, basically. It's hit your helmet, it's gone into your rear wing, damaged that too. Why didn't you just park it?
Well, because the race isn't over. You know, if the car can physically be driven, then there's always a chance, and that is my mentality when you're in a race situation. I've never parked a car yet, and you know, I've had blisters on my buttocks from heat radiating up through the car. I've been at points in my career where the pain has been so hard to deal with that I wanted to stop, but there's this little voice in my head that says, if you stop, you've given up. So that's why I kept going in Spa, despite the team asking me to park the car. Part of them asking me to park it was questions over whether the car was edged in because Kimi was leading the race. It might have affected his chances of winning. But I believe I did the right thing, because I still scored points in the end.
There was something about Spa that you were both involved in, that's punctures. We saw a lot of it this year, and it cost you probably a podium that day, David, didn't it, with your puncture, but you had an amazing incident at the end of the straight, Jensen. A bit scary.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I had a very slow puncture, and the problem is you're going so fast, even though there's no air in the tyre, it doesn't feel like you've got a puncture. It's only when you start slowing down, or you hit a bump, which is what happened. I hit a bump and then the tyre just disintegrated, and I was doing 200 odd miles an hour. And I was very, very lucky that the Minardi was in the way to collect me.
Right, well, let's have a look at your 2 seasons. There's so much more I want to talk about, plenty of action. Have a look at the other drivers too. We'll be back very shortly.
Oh, it's a big crash for Jarno Trulli. He's hit that tyre wall really hard. Looks like he's okay.
Welcome back. Before we hear some more from Jensen and DC, Ted and Louise have been looking at some other stories from the 2004 season.
It's goodbye, Jaguar. And hello to Red Bull Racing. The Austrian-based sponsors have become team owners. It's a massive relief for the crew in Milton Keynes. By the end of the season, the only thing keeping team morale together was an inflatable donkey. Mark Webber scored most of their points with strong finishes in Germany and a front-row start in Malaysia.
Webber over the line, he does go fastest. Webber on pole, what a brilliant lap.
Webber's teammate Christian Klein managed to score 3 valuable points at the Belgian Grand Prix, taking out David Coulthard's McLaren in the process. Both those drivers have opportunities to drive for Red Bull in 2005.
Jaguar refugee Mark Webber should step into the Premier League in 2005 when he joins the Williams team, but for much of 2004 the Grove boys looked like first division players. It wasn't all plain sailing with the radical twin-keeled FW26 design. The walrus nose was replaced mid-season by a more conventional layout. The biggest blow of the year though came in Indianapolis.
Someone's hit the wall very, very hard. That's a big impact. That's a 190-mile-an-hour corner.
Marc Genet and Antonio Pizzonia stepped into the frame while Schumacher recovered from his injuries. By Japan, Ralph was back to full strength. There were flashes of excitement from Juan Pablo Montoya, but he saved the best till last, giving Williams their only win of the year in Brazil before heading to McLaren in 2005.
I wanted to experience something new, and I think that when the McLaren opportunity came, I was pretty happy to take it, and I'm still very happy to go there. You know, I think everybody in Williams did great things for me, and I want to thank them, but it's time to move on.
This year's Renault was a bit of a handful, still the quickest off the start line, but unpredictable on the limit. The story of Renault's year, though, surrounded their driver Jarno Trulli. He claimed their only win of the season at Monaco, the most prestigious race of all. But Jarno was falling out of favour with boss Flavio Briatore, a situation exacerbated by this howler of a mistake in France.
In the final corner, Barrichello is going to get the final podium position. Well, well, well.
At the next race in Silverstone, he crashed heavily and from that moment would score no more points for the team. With the atmosphere poisoned, Jarno was sacked and replaced by Jacques Villeneuve. Fernando Alonso was more successful in hitting the car's sweet spot, but with just 4 podiums from 18 races, both he and Renault expected more.
It wasn't just the engine in the C23 that appeared to have something in common with the Ferrari. Sauber's 2004 car looked the part, and in the hands of Giancarlo Fisichella proved a handy little mount, getting 4th in Montreal. Fisichella drove his socks off this season and earned a Renault drive in 2005. Felipe Massa was exciting to watch. He put in some good performances, but failed to attract the same attention as his teammate, despite equalling Fisichella's best.
The 2004 Toyota had some basic design problems, which meant the car was inconsistent. A good result one week was followed by the car conking out on the start line the next. Toyota replaced both drivers during the season. Olivier Panis retired from racing, while Cristiano Di Matta walked away from Formula One disillusioned. The team's greatest opportunity wasted was at Spa, when Zonta's engine blew while in 4th place. Toyota finished the year with Jarno Trulli, feeling more at home here than he did at Renault. With Trulli and Ralf Schumacher on board for 05, Toyota must soon start getting results.
Last season, Jordan won a race. This year, they were battling to stay off the back row of the grid. Lack of finance, lack of power, the team were a shadow of their former selves. Nick Heidfeld tried his best, and his best was good, but Giorgio Pantano failed to shine and lost his seat to this man, Timo Glock. Despite securing Toyota engines for 2005, the future remains uncertain for Eddie Jordan and his team. There's a lot of work to do if they're to make it to Melbourne.
Minardi's season was touched with sadness following the death of their sporting director, John Walton. John was one of the most popular and respected figures in Formula One. The pit lane and paddock are poorer places without him. It was thanks to John's pit wall strategy that Minardi scored a point, Zolt Baumgartner at the US Grand Prix. But no points, just trouble for teammate Jimmy Bruning. With engine suppliers Cosworth finding new owners over the winter, Minardi's future is now a little more secure.
Plenty going on there then. Let's talk about Juan Pablo and Ralf at Williams. Both drivers knew they were leaving the team at the start of the year. They tripped over each other at the Nürburgring. How unforgivable is that?
Well, I mean, you can't just always look out for your teammate on the circuit and try and avoid them. There are times when you are going to come together because you're in the same car. You should be starting very close on the grid if you're running the same strategy. So there are times where you're going to have an accident. So for me, it's not a big issue.
Difficult year for Montoya. He had some bizarre incidents jumping out of the car on the grid at Indianapolis. And
was that Montoya or was that not Mr. Blobby?
I think that's one of the classic funny moments of the year. Apparently he put on 5 kilograms during the course of the season. And, you know, for the viewers at home, the weight of the driver is a very important makeup of the car, because 10 kilograms of weight is about 0.3 of a second on the lap. And also influential whether you can move that weight forward or rearward. You know, a racing car is like a set of scales and you have to have it balanced front to rear. So when you see him running along with that, you know, spare tyre, and it's not sour grapes at all as he's going to be driving my car, he's just put on a lot of weight during the course of the season.
Ralf, I can't understand him. Sometimes he's blistering, sometimes he's no. He parked the car apparently in China when it would still function. Horrible accident for him in Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's a pretty serious accident. It doesn't look that bad when you see it on TV, but we all know if you hit a wall direct at the rear end like that, it's pretty serious. And there was no soft wall there, as they call it. The Champ cars and IRL race around the other way. So where he actually hit the wall, he just missed it.
Talking of soft walls, your teammate tried to use Rubens Barrichello for that purpose exactly down into turn 1 at Nürburgring. Now Takuma can be stunningly fast, but that was a bit of a bizarre one, wasn't it?
I think he gets it into his head that he has to overtake, and I think he made that decision halfway around the lap. 30 odd seconds before he actually did the move, he thought, I have to overtake Rubens at turn 1 this lap, and he went for it. But for me, he was too far back. Rubens didn't know he was coming, and he didn't know until he hit him.
I agree with you. I come from the school of thought that what Takuma did was basically just throw it open to, I'm coming through or we're going to crash. And I think that's unacceptable, because it is a non-contact sport. There are rules to the sport that we're trying to race within. So I think the stewards should have done something. I can also see there will be people who say, shut up, David, it was an overtaking manoeuvre, the guy achieved his goal.
Takuma had a lot of blow-ups though. Why was that? Why was his engine less reliable than yours? I thought it might be the other way around with a Japanese driver and Japanese engines.
Well, I'll let you comment on that one. Difficult for me to comment, really. But he didn't have as many failures as people think. I think it was 5 mechanical failures throughout the year. But the problem is they were so big that you really saw them coming. I mean, the one here in Monaco.
Yeah, just a few hundred meters over there.
Back was pretty huge. You don't have blow-ups bigger than that, and it was obviously a very dangerous situation. But what can you do?
You got caught up in that, David, didn't you? You were knocked out of the race, and you were pretty unhappy about it, Simon.
Well, I remember saying at the time that, because knowing that Mercedes are able to look at the monitors and see whether there's something going wrong with the engine real time, so they can usually see that the engine's losing pressure in one of the cylinders or overheating, and advise me beforehand. So I presumed that the Honda engineers would be able to see that on Sato's car, and if that was the case, I just felt it was dangerous to leave him out there. They responded by saying that it was an instantaneous failure, there was no warning, so that's just one of those things. But for my side, coming into to back into a wall of smoke, it was just frightening. You cannot see a thing. So I just literally tried to stop the car, pull to the inside, so avoiding anyone hitting the back of me. But unfortunately, Giancarlo pulled to the inside as well and didn't slow down quite as quickly and managed to roll the car upside down.
Takuma's great to watch. We all enjoy seeing him. He's got enormous speed, hasn't he? He's challenged you from time to time, his ultimate pace. If he harnesses that into something a bit more constructive, he's going to be awesome, isn't he?
His style is what it is, and that's it for me. He has done a great job in some races, but it's the consistency really he's lacked, especially in 2004. But I don't know what's going to change for 2005 really. But he has been quick, and I'm sure people love watching him driving, because he is quite ragged, and at times he is very, very fast.
Let's talk about your teammate, Kimi Räikkönen. He really stood up in the seat in Spa, didn't he, for that win?
Yeah, the victory in Spa was an inspired result, but obviously it was timely because McLaren Mercedes had such a bad start to the season. I remember people in the media questioning whether he'd be able to deal with the disappointment of having an uncompetitive car. But I think the reality is that he's relatively young in terms of his career. He's being well paid. He's got a team that's very supportive of him. So to have the disappointment of the car not being competitive, I don't actually think was a big issue for him, because you have that confidence at that stage in your career that it will come right at some point. And I think that once the new car came mid-season, he was able to get in some pretty strong performances. And after I was third on the grid in Magny-Cours, he followed up with a pole in Silverstone, and then obviously led to that victory in Spa.
The Renault starts were a big feature of 2004. How do they do that?
I think that the reason they're able to make such good starts is mechanically their car set up with a very rearward weight distribution. There's always little rumours come out because people in the paddock knew each other. And as the year built, then it became more clear that typically with the Michelin run cars, we've all gone with a very forward weight distribution to get the maximum out of the potential from the tyre. They're able to drive their car with the weight rearward, and it just gives them amazing starts.
the back end of the Renault looked pretty light after Jarno Trulli had finished with it at Silverstone. Does that catch your attention, a big shunt like that? And do you feel good about it because actually the tub was fully intact, or do you think, hey, this is getting too much energy too fast?
Well, nobody likes seeing an accident like that. It looked pretty serious. But when he can just step out and walk away, a little bit dazed, but just walk away from it, I think it shows the strength of the cars, and that does give you confidence.
Something I want to get your view on. Kimi Raikkonen, Juan Pablo Montoya, final Grand Prix of the year. They're going to be teammates next year, side by side down the pit lane, which I believe Kimi was penalised for. I thought it was fine.
I think that the thing to remember is that the pit lane is designated as part of the racing track. To have two cars there, if they can fit and not cross over into the area where the other teams are actually doing their pit stops, I don't see the problem with it. And anyway, the driver just responds to the lollipop being lifted, and then you go out. So if you wanted to penalise someone, it should be the team, not the driver.
The irony is that Montoya took his pants down going into turn 3 on the outlap and went on to win the race, didn't he? Just seized that initiative straight back again.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, in the pit lane to get out in front, it was obvious it was going to be Kimi because it was on the inside for the exit of the pit lane. But going into turn 3 was a pretty special move by Montoya around the outside. I think it was possibly the best move of the race.
Right, I'm busting to ask you two. Schumacher, Montoya, the tunnel at the Monaco Grand Prix, whose fault was it?
Well, for me it's absolutely clear. First of all, you're behind a safety car. Michael is the lead car. Montoya was running second in that group of cars, but he was a lap down. And just as you have on the open road, whoever runs into the back of the other car is at fault. So I just don't get how Montoya could run into Michael in the tunnel and put the leader out of the Grand Prix and not receive some sort of penalty.
Yeah, but if you're going through the Dartford tunnel in a Ferrari and you accelerate like crazy and jam the brakes on and somebody runs into the back of you, they're not going to be happy with you.
You're not on a racing circuit, are you? I mean, you know that when you're behind the pace car, everyone's warming their brakes up because when they're cold, they're useless at turn 1. So you're warming your brakes up, and it's very difficult to find a straight here where you can hit the brakes really, really hard. Michael obviously made a small mistake by doing it in the tunnel because it is very, very slippery, and you can see that by how long he's locked up front left. But even so, Montoya should hang back.
It's true to say Montoya was a lap down as well, and do you think he was psychologically trying to hustle Michael and got to it?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just a mistake on the one side. It's just hilarious that it was those two really that ended up having the accident.
Well, they were behind a safety car because Alonso had already tried to go around the outside of Ralf Schumacher, caught the marbles and had a massive one, didn't he?
Yeah, I think that again, that incident, Ralph had a problem, so he was returning to the pit slowly. That said, why Fernando ever thought you could drive round the outside of a car in the middle of the tunnel? You just can't do it. You would never do it. So I think it was he obviously misjudged, as Ralph did, and that was an unfortunate racing incident.
Alonso, amazingly though, he's just creamed his car into the barriers. He's still travelling backwards. The accident's not yet over, and he appears to be saying to Ralph, that's the first and last time you'll do that to me.
Well, I think it's a reaction. You know, you immediately blame the other party, and he did that quite well, I think.
Yeah, he made his point. It's funny that we do that from time to time because, of course, the other driver would need to be looking at you to receive that message.
And he's already gone past.
He's already gone past, giving him probably the Nescafe sign or whatever it is, the international message. But your adrenaline's pumping, and drivers, as you know, are able to compartmentalise very quickly an incident and start thinking about the next thing.
Let's talk about Michael Schumacher, 7 times world champion. Wins 12 of the first 13 races.
He had such an advantage early on that the rest of the teams were playing catch-up. So I think it really was pretty much a breeze for him. And in the second half of the season, when things became a little bit closer, a little bit more competitive, once he was under pressure, you saw the vulnerable side of Michael comes out, where he does make mistakes.
I mean, when you're in a position that you've got the best car on the grid, it's got to make you more relaxed. And just gives you confidence in the car, and I think that really showed throughout the season. To have that many wins and be that consistent, it just showed how much confidence he had in the machinery.
All right, is he better than you two?
That's somebody's opinion, I think.
What do you think? Do you think you're potentially better than he is?
It's very difficult to say. All I know is that I'm in Formula 1 to be world champion, and to do that I have to beat Michael, and I have every confidence in the world that I can do that.
Is he better than you, DC?
I think that being a few years down the road, I'm more comfortable to see, I believe, that on my day I can be as competitive as Michael and I can beat Michael, and I'm confident that in equal machinery, on my day I could do that. But I have to recognise that my days aren't as consistent as his days. The important thing is, as you go into a Grand Prix, you have to believe and know that you can beat whoever the benchmark is at that time. So, in a word, I think as Jensen's said, and as I believe, we can beat Michael. But you can't hide from his results.
Thanks very much. Open, honest, forthright, just what we wanted. Good luck with Red Bull Racing in 2005, David. Good luck to you with BAR Honda, Jensen.
Thank you very much.
Are you ticklish?
Hello again from Silverstone. We had some very anxious times before it was confirmed that the British Grand Prix would be on this year's calendar. The British Racing Drivers Club, the BRDC, the circuit owners and F1 Supremo Bernie Ecclestone seemed miles apart until a deal was done on the eve of deadline day, December the 10th. We'll be racing here on July the 10th. It's the busiest season ever. 19 Grand Prix weekends starting in Australia in early March, long hauls to Malaysia and Bahrain. The European season kicks off in Italy. We have 6 back-to-back races. Turkey is the only new venue in 2005. It's a new facility close to Istanbul. We're there after the mid-season break in August. That'll be hot stuff. After Monza, it's Brazil, and we finish in the Far East with trips to Japan and the climax in China. Well, I've been joined by Alex Hooton, Chief Executive of the BRDC. Alex, how relieved are you that we will have a race here this year?
Well, we're very relieved indeed to have brought to an end a very long and protracted series of negotiations to a really satisfactory conclusion.
Was there any stage in those protracted negotiations when you despaired?
Well, we started off in Monaco in the spring and we worked throughout the whole of the summer. There were obviously a lot of ups and downs. I don't think I ever despaired, but there were 1 or 2 times when I wondered whether we might have to lose the race to get it back.
How big a blow would that have been to the British motor racing industry?
It would have been a massive blow to the British motor racing industry. It's a £5 billion industry. It's leader in the world at the moment. And if we'd lost the race, I think that would have started to erode the position of preeminence that we've got.
Now, you will know you've got to do a fair bit to bring this place up to scratch with the rest of the world.
We've got a lot to do. I mean, you can look back over my shoulder here at these facilities. They've got to be upgraded. We've got a high-tech park over there that needs upgrading, and we really need to turn this place into a 365 days a year destination.
What changes can we expect then before the race? Not many, I would think.
Before the 2005 race, there won't be many significant changes at all, but after that, the face of this place will change a lot.
And Silverstone, the home of the British Grand Prix for 5 years, and hopefully a few more after that, eh?
Hope so, very much indeed, yes. And now we've got 5 years of stability, we should be set fair for the future.
Alex, thank you very much indeed. So Martin will be strolling down the grid here in July. His grid walk has become an essential and unmissable piece of action on every Grand Prix weekend. From the moment he takes his first step in Melbourne, you learn to expect the unexpected.
Thank you, Jim. Hello, everybody. Well done for getting up this early in the morning, you crazy lot. What on earth are you doing? But I love your love of this sport. I hope I'm not just speaking to your video recorder here. Pasquale, can you muscle in here? Because, like, ITV is more important than all this lot. Hi, Simone. How you doing? Bernie the Bolt is wandering around here somewhere. We're not sure where, and he's not the easiest man to see. You want to give me a bit of a slapping?
I just love you. We admire you, darling. Without you, Formula One, I don't know where we'll be.
Fernando. Fernando? No, he's going to get in the car. He's not ready to talk. Where is the Crown Prince? I'd like to have a quick word with him. Sir, how are you? Good to see you.
Well, nice to see you.
Hello, sir. Very pleased to meet you. That's King Abdullah of Jordan, apparently, so we seem to be slightly sidetracked. Are you with me, Andy? Good. How are you, sir? So, it's finally happened then, here we are.
Over dinner, you were doubtful, but now it's finally happened.
Apparently there's some drivers on this grid, believe it or not. I need to make a note of all those kings I've just met. Jensen, we've got a few mutual friends, a few million actually. Just want to know what's going through your mind right now, sitting here on pole position. We're going to have to really fight our way in here. Sorry. Janu, quick word for ITV. it's difficult to see the wood for the trees. I'm sorry, chap, coming through, whether you like it or not. Sete Gibinau has found me. I like people who do that. How are you? Congratulations on your great win. And it looks like we're about to meet the king. I'm sorry. Mr. Abramovich, is he interested in coming into Formula One?
Asking me or asking him?
I'm asking you to ask him, because I believe he does.
Just to see, just to watch what's going on.
Okay, have I got any time left? Your best grid slot of the year, are you confident? You haven't got any tyres scrubbed, you don't really know the car?
My best grid slot, apart from Magny-Cours, where I was third. But, so, yeah.
Looks like your manager should talk to the media a bit more, fill us in.
Well, absolutely. Your grid walks, obviously you weren't always on the money. I understand that you're under some pressure, but also we're doing, in some of them, a good impersonation of Montoya's dad, with your tight t-shirt tucked in.
And also a little bit of Simon Cowell with the old trousers up around your nipples.
Right, I'll get them down by my knees for the next one, but, you know, be careful, because what goes around comes around, you know, when you're 20 years older.
It's all right, my old man does it as well. My old man does it, so it must be cool.
Martin will get his own back on those two. You can absolutely guarantee that. Be sure to watch out for our preview show before we return in just 2 months' time, when I'll be swapping the chill of Silverstone for the warmth of a late Australian summer in Melbourne. We'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.
You want. I'm gonna take you to a midnight show tonight. If you can keep a secret.